Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome along to the wilds of Suffolk. I'm out here yet again doing what I do, walking along in beautiful locations such as this. It's a little bit windy out here today, but it is gorgeous. 17 degrees here on the Suffolk coast. I'm doing what I do, walking along in beautiful locations and discussing the things that I see in the world in the public consciousness, giving you my thoughts and opinions. If it's your first time here, welcome. I hope you enjoy what I'm doing. If you're a returning subscriber, or 1,280 of you there are today, welcome back. It's a pleasure to have you here and joining me for the walk. So thank you one and all for being here. So for anyone that's been on this journey with me for any period of time, you'll be looking around in the world and you'll be saying, well, we saw this coming, right? We saw the lunacy. I mean, we don't quite know what lunacy is going to ensue next. I mean, it could be anything, right? But things are getting crazy. Things are happening in Brazil. Things are happening in the US. We're not allowed to talk about the things that are happening in the US and Brazil. The election. Sorry. A little bit of the Rona there is coming around again. Must be the new strain. It's called the bullshit strain. A lot of people are getting it, the bullshit strain. But anyway, so today's talk, what we're going to be talking about is progress at what cost. What does that mean? Well, we're going to be discussing that today, so you'll get to understand my thoughts on it anyway. I mean, look, this channel is all about my thoughts, my opinions. Some of those are going to resonate with you, some of them aren't. Some of them you're going to think that guy's an idiot. Probably. That guy's crazy. Whatever. But if you're here and you're joining me, which is why I do the subscriber count at the beginning of the video, it's got nothing to do with me. Doesn't mean I'm any good, it just means that there's a lot more people looking for information that runs counter to what the media is telling us. Okay? So, crazy things are happening. I mean, really is. It's insane at the moment what's going on. It really is. Everything is breaking down. Financial system, everything. Banking, all the derivatives. You've been hearing about the derivatives and the bond market. Everyone tells me, no, the bond market's fine. There's a lack of liquidity in the bond market, but that doesn't mean anything. Now, when we look back at history, if history's a real thing, if we are living in a reality, as well, whatever we're calling this that we're living in, this reality, this simulation, whatever we're calling it, doesn't really matter. If you believe it's real, then great. If you believe it's a simulation, great. Whatever you believe. It's not what I believe, it's what you believe. So in this reality, the simulation that we're in, and we look back in history, and we see that after massive tumultuous events, World War I, World War II, massive the Great Depression in the US, and all these kind of major events in the world, maybe a volcanic eruption or whatever it is, that is a major world event, 9/11, massive changes are made that affect all of us after these huge events. And usually the effect isn't a positive one. It doesn't affect us in a positive way, it's negatively affecting us because, as the politicians do like to say, never let a crisis go to waste. Okay? Now, when we look back at history and we see this massive leaps and bounds of progress moving forward, I'll give you an example, for instance. Okay, medical procedures, for instance, especially things like organ transplants, blood transfusions, learning how to deal with wounds. Like nowadays, you don't suture much anymore, which is the sewing with a needle to sew up a wound. Now it's super glue, and that was developed in the 70s, late 60s, early 70s during the Vietnam War, where they needed to stop the blood flow really, really quickly. So they found if you put super glue on it, it glued the wound shut, stopped bleeding. Brilliant. But these kind of progress in medical procedures move forward because of war, because of the horrific injuries of war. Prosthetics move forward because of war, because people have their arms and legs blown off. Those poor people that go off to war and fight for politicians that are useless, who start wars but never fight them. Those guys that are going off to war have their legs and arms blown off, which means prosthetics took huge leaps forward, and robotics, of course, as well, because robotics to repair broken people, after wars. So wars and those kind of events are massive influences of progressing us forward leaps and bounds after these horrific events. Now, if you've been here for any period of time, you know how I think about all this stuff. I think it's all being guided and deliberately done to serve the interests of the very few. You know, and as we look back at, you know, things that in my lifetime that we've lived through, 9/11 was a pivotal moment that took away people's freedom. You know, because nowadays you can't get on a plane without being strip searched and having a finger up your bum, and you know, it's crazy. It is like, well, I don't know whether you're a terrorist, and I'm like, well, you want to put something inside me? You're the terrorist. I mean, really. But you know, these events that I think are planned and guided and executed by, I won't say people, because I don't think a person is capable of that. You know, maybe they've had some kind of influence along the way, like how best can I put this? Have you seen The Bourne Identity? Have you seen that? MK Ultra, you know, that kind of thing exists. It's a real thing. So if you've got people that are programmed, you know, hypnotically, or you know, different ways that they use for MK Ultra programming, then the people doing it, the people who are programming these people, I don't think that they're human. Now, if you go back a little bit to the dehumanization and demonization video I did not long ago, and even further back, maybe 6 months ago, I did another video about the way that the influence was working through media, and I mean, that's what this channel's all about. I mean, it's talking about these subjects for a long, long time. But the inversion of our reality, everything is inverted. I mean, you have a look at these people like Chelsea Clinton, for instance, wears an inverted cross, upside down cross. Seems strange to me, but the inversion of our reality, you know, where these demons, where these, whatever they are, you know, your human isn't capable of doing what they're doing. So maybe they're inhabited by a demon. Who knows? Who knows? But the dehumanization, the demonization, that we are, us, the people who question things, are demonized and dehumanized, because it's about when you have an inverted reality where good is bad and bad is good. When you have an inverted reality, those people that are inverting the reality like to point at you and say you're the bad person for questioning the reality, because we all have to think the same now, because that's how the world works. If we all think the same, but diversity is our strength. Remember that. But diversity is our strength as long as you think the same as us. Because if you don't, you're a bad person. You're a transphobe, or you're a homophobe, or you're a what's the other one there? No, there's lots of now. I've been called them all. Everything. You know, you name it, racist, misogynist. You name it, I've been called them. If there's an ist or a phobia at the end of it, I must be it, because I'm a bad person. Because I dare to question. And if you dare to question as well, you're a bad person. But if these events, like the crash of the financial system, as we can see, it's happening right in front of your face. If you cannot see it now, I don't know what to tell you. Massive amount of inflation I've been talking about for years. People said to me, you're not an economist, Chris, the same as I'm not an epidemiologist, the same as I'm not anything of those nature of those jobs that are supposed to point out and be, oh, this is how we need to think. I'm not any of those things, but as an average run-of-the-mill Joe Blow on the street, I'm just a guy who didn't finish high school, and yet I can find things in what's going on that the best economists in the world can't. What does that say to you? Either I'm a genius who knows better than all the economists in the world, or they're lying to you and they're deliberately doing it to hurt us all. There's nothing in between. There's no, oh, we made a mistake, like, you know, go back, oh yeah, the inflation's transitory. That's the head of the Treasury. So you'd think the head of the Treasury would know better than a guy who left school when he was 15. Surely, being educated at the best university in the world, surely that person knows better than someone who didn't finish high school, right? Or it's all bullshit. Your choice, you get to choose what you believe. I'll flip around this way. I mean, how gorgeous is it out here today? Gorgeous! 17 degrees, and it really is 17 degrees. Go and look on the internet where I am, Suffolk. Look it up, 17 degrees today, it's wonderful. A little bit of a breeze, but it's gorgeous. Look here, I am on the beach. I'm on the beach, alone. No one's out here. Who understands English people? But if all these events are being guided and we're being led down a path by people that are quite obviously lying to us, then it means that we're being guided there for a reason. The social engineering, remember we've talked about that as well. Social engineers are trying to guide our society in the direction they want us to go, regardless of the fallout, regardless of what it means to us, how many people get hurt. Hence the name of this video, Progress at What Cost? Now we're coming to an inflection point where a lot of things are going to coalesce at the same time. We've got, the crypto, the whole thing with crypto crashing, this FTX. Oh my God, FTX. They're one of the biggest exchanges in the world. There was a big Ponzi scheme right from the very start. This is the guy who ran FTX, was before Congress. He was meeting with the SEC. He was meeting with the CFTC. All these people, Jim Cramer and all these big boys were putting millions of dollars into FTX, the exchange. And they were saying, well, we're looking after our investors and we safeguard all the money on our exchange, blah, 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 bullshit. Now, what this whole thing is proving was, Gary Gensler, that fucking shitbag, little rat-faced monkey, he's a piece of dirt, absolute piece of filth, who runs the SEC in the United States, who currently has the Ripple over a barrel, the whole crypto industry tied up, because he says all of crypto is a security, of course, but no, like I say, I'm stupid. By all accounts, I didn't even finish high school, okay? Now, for those who don't know about their whole way that Securities and Exchange Commission works, they're supposed to look after investors by ensuring that the securities that are being presented and sold are legit. Okay? Now, a security is, let's just say, for instance, I'm buying some shares in Coca-Cola or Tesla, or it doesn't matter, I'm buying shares in a company. Okay? Let's just say I buy 10,000 shares of Tesla. Alright? Now, in times before now, I would get issued a share certificate that stated you now own 10,000 shares of Tesla. They're usually held by a brokerage firm or something like that, the stock certificates. But those stock certificates prove ownership of that you're part of that company. So if I buy shares in Tesla, I own part of Tesla. Okay? So I own part of a business. Okay? Now Gary Gensler are trying to say that cryptos are a security. Okay? Some clearly are, because they fit the model of what it is. I get it. Some are. Others, for instance, are completely not. So, for instance, with this whole lawsuit that's going on with the SEC and Ripple, Ripple is a company that uses XRP, okay, in transactions, but it doesn't control the XRP in the market. It controls the XRP that's still in a holding account. Long story, trying to sort that out. But trying to say that XRP is the security of a company is ridiculous, because Ripple is a separate company, XRP is the currency. Does that make sense? So it's like saying that oil is a security and Exxon or BP or whatever oil company you want to use, that the oil is a security over their company. You understand? It's bullshit, it's a lie. But yet, CFTC, Commodities and Future Trading Commission, CFTC, and the SEC and Congress met with this guy, Joseph Fried, I think his name is, and you know, they cleared it. They cleared FTX exchange, said everything's good, they all invested in it, and then it went pop, bang, bye-bye. Now it's deliberate. Who set up FTX? Who invested in FTX? Why did it go pop now when they want to introduce regulations? That's one of the many things that are happening right now. The war in Ukraine, it's another one. So there's a war on crypto, war in Ukraine, people trafficking everywhere. And what's going on is this last-ditch effort to hold on to power by the people that are slowly losing grip of it. But they're trying to use all these events against us to push things in the direction that they want to go, using their social engineering and making people think, well, I'd best do that because everybody's doing that, right? By using the things like Twitter, by using social media in general, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, by putting out a message and bribing people who are social influencers, what do they call them? Social influencers? Social influencers, is that right? Social influencers who have like big followings on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and they bribe them, they pay them to put out a message to guide people to, so everyone thinks, oh, well, everybody thinks this way, I best go that way. Even though it's to their detriment. So there's a bunch of things that are happening now that are detrimental to all of us. And they're pushing in this direction because it doesn't benefit us, it benefits them. So like the, what do they call it? The carbon credits. Carbon credits. So if I know I'm going on a flight, I can pay money, of course, because it's all about money. I can pay carbon credits and they're going to plant a tree to offset that flight I just took. The same people that fly into the climate conferences on private jets with a massive motorcade of vehicles that run on fuel are going to dictate to me and then sell me carbon credits. Because all the money in the world's going to fix the problem, right? So we have a situation where we have these politicians and bankers. Now, while we're on that, who do you think runs the world? I know there was a poll that was done where they asked people if they believed in a secret cabal running the world, but who do you think runs the world? Do you think it's politicians? Well, I can tell you that it's bankers. Bankers control the world because if they want a policy, they go to the politicians, and if the politicians disagree, then they crash the markets. Then the politicians look bad in front of the voters, in front of their constituents. Then they have to go along, otherwise the markets won't recover and the pension funds will go pop and no one has a pension anymore. So it's not politicians who control the world, it's bankers. And that coalesces in a place called the World Economic Forum, which is in Davos in Switzerland every year, where they get together, and a guy called Klaus Schwab, who says, you will eat the bugs and in 2030 you'll own nothing and be happy. So they've got a group of brainwashed young fools like Jacinta Ardern, that guy, who's the Prime Minister of New Zealand. It's a man with a penis. Okay, then we've got Justin Trudeau, or should I say Justin Castro, Fidel Castro's son Justin, up in Canada. And no, I'm not joking about that, I'm deadly serious about that. So Justin Castro up in Canada. Then we've got Rishi Sunak, the useless fucking moron here in the UK, who's just taken over the Prime Ministership without a vote. Just like that, it's just like, whoop, you know, this is the funny thing is that everyone's looking at America and at the elections there and, you know, questioning things that are happening in the election. Everyone's looking at the Brazilian election and questioning things there, and I'm like, yeah, these elections are a joke. Well, at least you get one. At least you get an election. At least you get to choose. No, we all know it's not about elected, it's selected. So let's not kid each other, let's not kid ourselves. But these same scumbags that are little puppets on a string controlled by the bankers of World Economic Forum through environmental social governance. You had King Charles now, Prince Charles back then, but King Charles, now that his mother's died, he's wasted no time in getting on with what he wants to do. He actually spoke at the World Economic Forum and said, we have to go round the governments of the world, the corporations who have got trillions at their disposal, get to make the policy, and we'll tell the politicians what to do. Now, here's a prime example of what I mean. So the World Economic Forum came up with this idea of environmental social governance, and it went to the banks, of course, because they were all attending the World Economic Forum, and they decided they'd come up with a rule that banks would no longer be allowed to lend to people to buy a petrol car. In Australia, they're starting it out there in Australia from 2025, I think it was. So the banks are deciding whether you can drive a petrol car or not. The banks are. Where are the banks invested? Do you think the banks are invested in electric cars, battery technology? Who produces all that? Who produces the solar panels? China. Who produces the batteries and the ingredients? You've heard of the Belt and Road Initiative? Belt and Road? It's China's initiative where they go into countries in Africa and all around the world, and they put in infrastructure in those countries at China's expense, but China wants to be, make sure that they're being paid through minerals and wealth taken from the ground, from the lands that they're going and putting in the initiatives, the Belt and Road Initiative. So, where do you think the banks are invested? Do you think the banks are just going to go, oh, we're not going to lend that money anymore because lending the money makes them money? Oh, we're not going to have that revenue stream coming in anymore, right? So they're not lending on petrol cars. So the banks are controlling where the money is spent. Then I don't know whether you've noticed, whether you've tried to go and invest in crypto. Some banks are not allowing you to transfer money from your bank account, your money, to a crypto exchange to buy crypto. So who runs the world? Now, the reason I bring this up is, I've spoken about sociopaths and psychopaths a lot over the course of this last couple of years when I've been doing these videos. Sociopaths and psychopaths are on the world. They have absolutely no qualms about killing people. They don't care. They're like you and I are nothing in the whole scheme of things to them. You're literally nothing. You're a pawn. You're the GDP, right? You're the GDP, and you're only worthwhile while you serve a purpose. But then when the numbers start to it gets to a point where people question where the times are too tough for people to live, where they can't pay their mortgage, they can't service their debt, and then you're useless to them because you're not going to produce anymore. You've got your hand out, asking for a handout from the people that have created the problem. The same as the people who create the problem are saying, don't worry, we've got the solution. We've already got our money invested there. Like Matt Hancock with all the PPE stuff here in the UK, where the hospitals need the PPE. He awarded, I think it was a $14 million contract to his friend. And all the PPE was not fit for use. You see how it works? This is all about robbing from the public purse, putting it in their own pocket, and then running away to a desert island or to an island that we don't even know about on this planet that we're on. Or maybe they're trying to escape from this planet. And that's where all the money's going. But back to the topic of the conversation. When we're talking about progress and we're talking about moving forward, the social engineers are trying to get us to move forward in a particular direction, guiding our society, breaking things. So it's like problem, reaction, solution. Remember the Hegelian dialectic. Problem, create the problem, people react, don't worry, we've got the solution for you. We're going to regulate. The government's going to look after it. So the government's been looking after our oceans. What's in the oceans? Full of plastic, full of rubbish, full of shit. We'll look after the forests, being burnt down, cut down, destroyed. Everything that the government says, don't worry, we're going to regulate and look after, it's all shit. So what role do the governments play? They dole out the purse string. They control the purse string, so they dole out the money, our money, to other corporations that have helped them get elected. So they dole out the money to them as a thank you so much for getting me elected. Thank you for solving this problem that we created. So they are king, the people who are pulling the levers, the people who control the purse strings, the people, the puppets, the puppeteers, all of them are guiding us in a path, down a path that doesn't suit anybody except themselves. Now this progress that they want, you know, we want a cashless society. We want everyone to live in harmony with the sea and with the forest and with the sky, and no more emissions. And you'll live in a cave, you'll live in a hover while we travel around the world in our private jets, on our super yachts. We live the high life while you scum. Yes, we're the scum, by the way. Can just, we don't care. The resources are all about them, and we're here to service their needs. Yes? Okay, so now we've got that out of the way. What can we do to mitigate this? Because we're just ordinary people that want to get on with our lives, have our families, be able to feed our families, keep a roof over our head. At some point, you're going to have to get off your ass and stand up and say no. For 2 years, I've been doing these videos. I mean, it's a small sort of drop in the bucket to share information, my thoughts and opinions, remember? Or to share statistical information, statistical data, but you get in trouble if you share statistical data nowadays. Only Bill Gates can manipulate data in there to strengthen his argument. If you try and share statistics that are going to strengthen your argument, then, well, sorry, you're a bad person because you don't think the same as everybody else. Now, if you understand that the progress that they want, the social engineers, progress, they call it progress, of course, because everything that they want is negative. They always give it a positive label, like the Inflation Reduction Act in the US. The Inflation Reduction Act, they printed more money into existence to combat inflation. Right, now, I want to see if I got this straightened out. So, inflation's been caused by printing too much money and putting it into the economy. Not on infrastructure or anything worthwhile that's going to give you a return on investment, which actually would stop inflation. But no, just giving people money because they decided to shut down the economy. So inflation means you've got a bunch of money swimming out there, and because they shut the economy down, nothing to spend it on. So you've got a reduced amount of things that people can buy because the economies were closed down, remember? Heap of money, which means the prices of everything goes up because the value of the money is going down. Because all the new money that's being printed is borrowing its value from the money that's already in existence. I mean, maybe you didn't know that, but... So, if we understand that everything they say is lies, Inflation Reduction Act, printing more money for that, come on. How do you mitigate it? What's happening right now is the economy, the financial system, banking, all the systems, education, all the systems of government as well, all the systems that we've known for all of our lives are going to be changing. And whether they're going to change for the better or whether they're going to change for the worse is where we come into it, our input, and who we put in control of the levers of power. Now, here in the UK, there is literally no one. There is no one. Keir Starmer, the head of the Labour Party, he says that for my first day in action, if I'm elected, for my first day in office, I'll bring in digital passports. That's the opposition leader to the fucking piece of shit that we have here now. Rishi Sunak, who wants to do exactly the same. So we are fucked. Well, we're not, are we? Because how many of us are there? In this country, 60 million. Wherever you are in your country, I guarantee you outnumber these scumbags 1,000,000 to 1. So what we have to do, like I say, at some point you're going to have to get off your ass. I can't do it all. You can't do it all. We all have to act together in concert and understand they are not here for our benefit. They are here for their benefit. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about anybody except their corporate donors and the people that support them. Stop supporting them. Whatever they say, ignore. Don't do what they tell you to. Oh, go and get another SIM. Yeah, get one of those. Safe and effective. 100%. That's why you have to have another 5 of them to get up to date, so that you don't die. Get fucked. Now, all this, You get to decide where we go from here. I can't tell you. All I can tell you is what I see, what I think. So if you're worried about the financial system collapsing, get your money out. Invest it in things that you think are going to do well if the economy collapses. How are you going to transact if you haven't got access to your money from the bank account? Have you got food? Have you got water? Make a list of what you're going to need. Food, water, shelter, warmth during the winter, obviously. Make a list of those things and act now to mitigate the fallout of what these criminals plan on doing. It's not hard. Look beyond today. Look 6 months in advance, look a year in advance. What do you think is coming? What do you think you can do to mitigate it? Do that now, because if you don't, then there's no one to blame but yourself. If you're going to keep listening to criminals and scumbags and pieces of shit that don't care about you, then your result is going to be the same every single time, that you are going to suffer at their hand. The progress, you're going to be a victim of the progress. Get up to date with the things that are going on and mitigate it. If you do that, you'll do well through this. If you don't, you won't. Now, this kind of information is for the people like us that have been sort of walking through this mire of nonsense for a long time. We get it. People out there don't. So if you think this is worthwhile, share it, or some other information that you see worthwhile, share it with people. They might beat you down and call you an idiot or a conspiracy theorist or whatever, but what's a little bit of name calling if you're trying to help people, right? Now, what we do now is up to us, and it can help other people, and it can influence where we're going to go in the world. It's up to you, it's up to me, it's up to all of us to decide which way we want to go and start doing things to get us in that direction. So I'll leave it to you. Go out into the world, do good, be good. You can change the world with the way that you think, the way that you talk, the way that you interact with people, and what you share. So do that, and we can make the world a better place. So look after yourself, look after each other. Love you so much. Thank you so much for being here, one and all. I look forward to seeing you real soon. Take care of yourself. I look forward to seeing you. Ciao for now. Bye.